What's up, fam, and welcome to another episode of the Wanderlust Well Show. Today we have an incredibly special podcast episode. This was actually an episode that was recorded live at the Wanderlust Wealth Retreat with one of my dear friends, Kacia Get Married. Now, if you don't know Kacia, she is such a firecracker. She has been an entrepreneur and business owner for 11 years now, I believe. She used to be a corporate girly working at Google and then quit, built an incredible multi-six-figure business, burned that to the ground, and then started a podcast and built that to a seven-figure business. So she's just been crushing it every step of the way. And her husband own millions of dollars worth of real estate. I actually recorded a podcast episode with her and her husband about a year ago. So you can actually go back and check out that episode. But this one is so good because we really talk about building a business and building a portfolio that supports your lifestyle and really following that gut intuition and gut instinct in terms of what kind of business to build and how to design your life. So take a listen to this episode. Also, go ahead and listen to her podcast, Empower Her. I still listen to it. It is on my roster of podcast episodes to listen to because it just pumps me up every single week, making sure that I'm in the right energy and in the right mood. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Let me know what you think. So today we have Kacia. I know I already told y'all about her, but basically what we're just going to do today is a Q&A type of session. But I'm going to be asking her questions at the end. I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to ask questions as well. But Kacia is phenomenal, just a firecracker, as you guys have seen. She's literally built so many incredible businesses you've been an entrepreneur for 9 years now?
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So what I really wanted to, because a lot of people here, right? They're at that stage where maybe they have one property, maybe they're getting their first property, maybe two properties.
Yeah.
Really trying to figure out, okay, where do I go from now, right? Where do I go from here? And how do I figure out what the next step is?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've had so many of those moments throughout your entire life. So can you kind of look back, especially to when you used to work at Google, how you really took that step, took the leap?
Yeah. I'm so excited for you guys. At this stage in your business, your entrepreneurial journey, your just real estate investing journey. So I started my first business when I worked full-time at Google in corporate recruiting. I lived in New York. My now husband was a full-time student at NYU Dental School. And so I was the only income earner. So there was a lot of pressure there because I was working this full-time job and I was building a business on the side. We hadn't touched real estate, didn't own a house. Did not own a house in New York. So I think one of the things that I was really intentional about is I had a really strong relationship with a future version of me, which sounds kind of wooey, but I would think a lot about what am I doing now? And how is that giving a 1 year ahead, 2 year ahead, 3 year ahead version of me more options? And I'm really motivated by freedom and options. And that's been a through line for a lot of the things that I've done as an entrepreneur is I'm okay, I'm willing to put the reps in now because I understand that putting those reps in is helping me build confidence and grit and resourcefulness and connections. And it's opening up doors that I might not even know I want to open in the future. A lot of you guys at this stage, and me too, I have no idea exactly what I want 5 years from now, but I do know that the work that I'm putting in now and the people that I'm meeting, the connections that I'm making are supporting me to open more doors in the future. And what I was shocked by is my husband, who is Persian, first generation immigrant, AKA B, a doctor, a dentist, an engineer, a lawyer, otherwise you're dead to us kind of. That was what he really ingrained in him, which I know Olivia and Sina. Olivia is if Sina and I had a baby in person. So, we actually did have we have a real baby that's he's 16 months old. We have a 16-month-old, but Olivia personality wise is literally me and Sina in one body with her own personality too. It's weird. It's really weird. Cause sometimes she's talking that sounds like Sina. And sometimes she's talking, I'm but that's some shit I would say. So what ended up happening is I was building a business. I left Google in 2015 because the business that I was building on the side became full-time income. And I saved enough runway for us for 3 months, or 3 to 4 months that we could live without any income. And I was I just got to jump and go for it. And then when my husband graduated dental school, we moved to San Diego. And at that point in time, he became a dentist. And I knew right away that he did not love it. And he didn't know that he didn't love it. But I knew right away, I was oh, shit. Oh, shit. He doesn't like his job. This is his career path and he doesn't like it. And I think it took him a second to actually identify that, number one, it was okay for him not to like it. Because like the sunk cost fallacy where it's like you've spent a lot of time getting into something, you've put a lot of, time, money, intention into becoming the thing, right? How many of you guys feel that way about your careers in general? It's like, yeah, where you've like, well, I did a lot to get here, so I should just love this when you know that you don't. So I right away was like, let's get him out of this, but he wasn't ready for that decision yet. So fast forward, I started a podcast at the end of 2018. And the intention was for me to build community and build another business, although I didn't know what that business was going to be. And then COVID hit, and my dentist husband, who had this quote unquote safe and stable job, could now only do emergency procedures. So like he went from working 5 days a week, dental salary, to emergency procedures only. So I was like, well, what if I have this belief that anything that like any idea that you're gifted, I also believe that you're gifted the resourcefulness to figure out any how. It's just we get caught up in the how, where we're like, well, how am I going to do this? Like, well, you have the idea. So trust that you're also gifted the resourcefulness. You don't know everything yet, but you put yourself in rooms like this. You let yourself drift off into like, wouldn't it be cool if, and just see what's possible and kind of go down that path. So I started a podcast course, and the idea was to take 25 women from idea to launching their show in 4 weeks. And I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to start this course since you're barely working. Do you want to do like the tech stuff? Because that's super boring. And he was like, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And then we were on a walk. I came back and I sold this course to 25 women for $750 each. They all signed up. And Stripe was like, alert, alert. And my husband was looking at the Stripe and he's like, what the F? And he realized I was making more with like one of these courses than he was making as a dentist with just one course. And I did 25 in one day. So he was like, wait a second, we might be onto something here. But again, not ready to admit it. And I think like to kind of tie this back, at this point, I'm thinking already about that future version of me. But now I'm starting to think about the future version of him, where I'm like, he doesn't think that he's going to leave dentistry. I know he's going to leave dentistry. And and the truth of the matter is he would have never felt comfortable, which he ended up telling me he wanted to leave dentistry. But he would have never felt comfortable doing that had I not been in a position financially that he felt like he had that option. So as you guys are building your real estate portfolios, your business, you're juggling, working a W-2 job, and maybe you have other ideas of things that you want to create. It's like you're opening up doors for a future version of you, but you're also opening up doors for a future version of someone that you love. And maybe you don't have that person yet in your life, or maybe you do, but like your significant other or your kids or, whatever that looks like. That's always been like a very important part of how I show up and stay consistent to do the shit that's not always fun to do so that you can reap the rewards of it, and a future version of you can too. So fast forward, we moved to Austin, Texas, because of COVID during, like his job and everything. We're like, hey, let's just go live somewhere else. Why not? We don't have kids. We're free birds. Like, so we packed up all our stuff, moved to Austin, Texas. At that point, my business had turned into courses, large scale events, like 500 plus person events, a keynote speaking career for me, had turned into masterminds, coaching, like a lot of different ways that I was monetizing. And one day I came back from a keynote and he was like, Keish, it was a Friday night at like 8 p.m. And he was like, Keish, come sit on the porch with me. And he pours a glass of wine and he was like, I think I want to leave dentistry. And I was like, get him out. Like, I was like so ready because I knew he hated it. And like, honestly, we've been together for 16 years. So I was like, I want this. He's my favorite person, right? So I'm like, I want my best friend to do something that he loves, but I also want my husband to not be like Eeyore mode. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't like it. And every time he'd come home from work, he'd like, I didn't like my job today. And I'm like, hey, this is sucking my soul. And then I was thinking like, I want our future kids, which we didn't have then, but I was like, I want our future kids to see modeled to them an example of like two parents that are lit up about what they want. And I believe like if you have this vision, you also have the resourcefulness to figure out the hows. And the vision was we are both going to be lit up about what we do. And we're going to model that to our future kids that weren't even born yet. So he wants to quit. I was like, call your boss, quit right now. He's like, it's literally 9:30 p.m. on a Friday. Like, I'm not calling him. That's so awkward. But he calls him on Monday. He quits. And he was the catalyst because he said, I've always been thinking about real estate investing. You guys, at this time, we lived in an apartment in downtown Austin. We didn't own any real estate. I didn't even know like what escrow was. I couldn't have told you. And this was like 3.5 years ago. I didn't know anything. We have like an almost $7 million portfolio now, but we didn't know anything back then. So it turned into my husband Cena binging podcasts and me thinking they were kind of boring. No offense to Bigger Pockets, but I was like, this 28-year-old has 59 doors. I'm like, why is she bragging about her doors? This is so boring. Like, I just was like underwhelmed by it. But we moved here, and one of the first friends I met, you guys will meet later today. Well, you know her, but one of the first friends I met here is a woman named Chantel. And you guys are going to see her. She's almost 38 weeks pregnant. She's so cute right now. Like, if she goes into labor, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to like birth doula the shit out of this. So like, buckle up. But I met her at an event, and why I'm such a huge proponent of in-person things like this, getting together in person. We met at an event, sitting by a bathroom. She was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And I was like, oh, who told you that I help women start podcasts? And she's like, I don't even know you. Like, I was like, oh, you don't even know? Like, okay. It turned into like her and her husband are two of our closest friends here in Denver now. But she had a short-term rental brokerage. And my husband at the time thought Airbnb was a fad. He was like, there's no way, like that's going to stick around. Like, it's too good to be true. He's a linear brain. Does anyone have like a linear brain or a linear brain person in their life? Where they're like, it has to be step 1, step 2. They have to know step 10 before step 1. I'm like, dude, you have to do 1 before you can get to 2. Like, I don't know what step 10 is. And we did have I forgot to include, we had a long-term rental because a guy that I had met in a business mastermind that I was a part of, he had $50 million in single family homes. And I was telling him at that time that I was making a lot of cash flow from my business, but everything that I did, and still to this day, everything that I do in my personal business outside of real estate requires me to be on. So I do keynote speaking, I do podcasting, I run events, I have done courses, one-on-one stuff like that. So it all requires me. There's nothing wrong with that, but you are trading time for money and you can't turn it off. But I love it. So I was like, what about all the cash that's coming in from that? What are we going to do when I want a future version of me wants options to have more choices? And I didn't know the answer to that, but I knew he was brilliant and I knew real estate made sense. And I knew a lot of millionaires had real estate. And I was like, I'm sure we can freaking figure this out because other people do, right? So that was kind of the catalyst. And this man that I had met in this mastermind had $50 million in long-term rentals. And he was like, you should probably be buying real estate. And I was like, yeah, let's buy some real estate. So our first rental that we bought right before we moved to Colorado was a long-term rental in Phoenix, Arizona. So we have that property was our first property. We moved here. I met Chantel. I went to one of her meetups just to support her. Honestly, I was like, oh, this is a new friend. She does Airbnb. This is cute. My husband's there too. And he starts talking to all these people and they're talking about how much money they're making with Airbnb. And we were like, wait, what? And for me, I was like, let's do it. Like, whatever, we'll figure it out. And he like had to like see the path. So we left that event. We went and got margaritas where like a lot of great decisions are made. We got margaritas and I was like, should we buy an Airbnb and let's niche it to bachelorette parties? So we bought our first property, which was we still have this property today. It's called Peach House. It's in Wheat Ridge. So different, like 10 minutes from here, basically. And we niche it towards bachelorette parties. That started to like massively pick up. And then we're like, how do we do another one?
And also like with the bachelorette party. So she already had a podcast too that was specifically for women, right? So she knew she had people she could. So, and I know a lot of y'all do different things, right? So even if it's something like co-living, right? That we both have a mutual friend who he like has created faith-based communities for co-living, where he like has this grand vision where he saw the epidemic of loneliness, especially through COVID, and really wants to create more community doing that through real estate, right? I know you're a hairdresser, right? So there are so many different avenues that you can take to bring into real estate and bring in the things that you're passionate about. Like the reason I like Airbnb is because I love doing this stuff. I love decorating. I love making it cute. So really you remember the whole thing about this whole event, right? Is tapping back into who am I? What lights me up? What fuels me? And so like, that's basically what your entire career has been based off of that.
That's such a good point too, because I don't love the design part. Like I'm not creative like Olivia, but I love bringing women together and I'm really good at bringing women together in community. So to her point, I've helped a lot of podcasters. I was like, wait, if I had a property like this, I could host retreats at my own property, similar to this, right? I could also empower women in my community to host their own retreats. So we booked, probably 20 retreats at that first property of women in my community that hosted their own retreats there. Because also like podcasters looking to monetize in a fun, fulfilling way, they would host retreats, right? So I think that's a really good point too, is like thinking about it, not just from the lens of what does everybody else say are the benefits of short-term rental or co-working spaces or like house hacking, like anything, but really like what's my unique edge to this? Like what would I be really fulfilled by? And I think because I preach so much about like in-person connection and community, it's like, yeah, hey, you can use this house, right? Like, hey, oh, you guys want to come to Denver and do that? Great, I'll pop over and come be part of your retreat and do it in this house, right? So it really, there's a lot of synergy there.
Hey girl, real quick, if you have been dreaming of living life on your own terms, then listen up, okay? I created a free course that shows you exactly how to buy a rental property using your $75K plus corporate salary and at least $10,000 in savings. That's with no trust fund, no rich boyfriend, no daddy's money, no hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank, just strategy, confidence, and a step-by-step plan. Now, in this free course, I'm going to be teaching you the number one strategy that is working for newbies in today's market. I'm also going to teach you how to spot a good deal and how to replace your corporate income with passive real estate income, escape the corporate hamster wheel, and not be dependent on your corporate job to survive. Now, this is for three kinds of people. This is for you if you are stuck in a job that you do not love, secretly dreaming of more freedom, more travel, and more peace in your bank account. Or maybe you're currently a digital nomad looking for more grounding and wealth building without losing the ability to travel. Or maybe you're a business owner or a corporate girly who just sees the volatility in the market and you just want to diversify your income. If any of those sound like you, then go ahead, go get the free course now. The link is in the show notes, or just go to oliviatati.com/free course. That's oliviatati.com/free course. Trust me, this could change your life.
The other part about this, the real estate side of the story, is we started binging a lot about creative financing and options of how we could do this. Because as we were closing on our first Airbnb, my husband, who, again, linear thinker, he was like, what's the plan? He's an entrepreneur essentially for the first time. And he's like, well, what do I do? And I remember him saying, and maybe some of you can connect with this feeling, that he was like, I feel like I was dropped in the middle of the ocean and I'm a really strong swimmer, but I have no idea what direction I'm supposed to freaking go. And I feel like I'm drowning. I was like, perfect. Welcome to entrepreneurship. Like, I'm not going to save you because then I'm robbing you of like your own fulfillment from figuring out how to pull yourself out. As much as I wanted to be like, hey, do this. Hey, do this. I tried to resist. So we also learned a lot about creative financing. So at that time, he was like, what do I do as a real estate investor? And I was like, well, you should probably call people and like talk to them about their houses or something. So he's like, I wish you guys could have seen his first call. He like calls and he's like, he was like hoping people wouldn't answer because he like, didn't know what to say. So he's like, hey, so tell me about your roof. And like, he doesn't know what to say. And then he ends up calling a building that was a guy named Matt that owned this quadplex near Sloan Lake, so like close to here. And he was like, would you be interested in creative financing? He's like, just saying shit like that he's heard. And he was like, yeah, I'd be open to it. So soon enough, as we're closing on Peach House, our first Airbnb, we're also closing on a quadplex that we turned into midterm rentals that we still have at the same time. So we were like, not did we just like get into real estate? We were like, let's just go in and we'll just figure out how to do it. And the point of all of that, and I think the through line to remind yourself of, is like, things can actually happen pretty quickly when you decide and you let the story that you're telling yourself of why it won't work for you not be the reason that it won't work for you, right? Because a lot of times people say like money is the issue. To be honest, finding a good deal is the issue, right? Like, and I'm sure Olivia has talked to you a lot about this, but like money is not the issue. Like you can find money if you can find a good deal. And like that's been true for us as we've grown this. So
that's literally something I'm going to talk about later.
Yeah.
Getting good at finding deals is probably one of the hardest things too, because like, especially if you're thinking about raising money for something or bringing in private capital, it's like having that confidence. And this is why we have to run our numbers 800 billion times to the point that we can look at a property and be like, oh yeah, that's going to work or that's not going to work, right?
So true. So
completely. But so another thing is you've pivoted your business so many times. And especially now, like even with a kid and you kind of went through that messy middle. So can you kind of like talk about how, like what that has felt like and how you've moved through those messy middles?
Oh my gosh. How many of you guys are like in a season right now where you feel like a pivot is coming? Yeah. Yeah. The vicious head nods like, you're like about to break your nut right now. She's like, that's me. Casey, that's me. It's so hard. Like, and it's so exciting simultaneously. And I think our nervous systems aren't prepared to hold those two emotions simultaneously, where it's like you're really excited and you're also really scared. And I think sometimes you're scared because you care about it. And I actually think that's a really good thing, to feel a little bit nervous, but leaning more into the enthusiasm side of it, because it's like your body's physical reaction to fear and excitement is the same. Heart racing, kind of sweaty, feeling a little bit uncomfortable. But if you label it excitement, you're definitely going to have a better outcome than if you're labeling it fear and then you stay stuck in the spiral. So I think with pivots, a lot of it comes back to, I ask myself a lot of questions because like Lydia said, I've just done a lot of different things in this space. And I have like new business ideas and I have to run them through the lens of, have I done the thing long enough to know with certainty that I'm done with this thing and I can move on to something else? Or have I started it and because I just started it and I suck at the beginning, because nobody gets to skip that. You started something new and you suck. Like that's just guaranteed. You're not going to be that great at it. The first Airbnb that you do, for me, like the first podcast that I've done 650 or 70 episodes now. The first one, I was sweating in places that like, I didn't even know you could sweat. And I was so awkward, right? But now I've had so many reps that it's so easy, right? So I think it's just reminding yourself that first time that you're doing something new, you're going to feel really uncomfortable. But a lot of people want to quit at the beginning stage because that discomfort is so hard for your nervous system and your body to process, because you're like, I don't know. And then your brain is drifting off into worst case scenarios. And all of a sudden you're spiraling down and you're ugly crying on your bathroom floor and your snot mascara is getting together in your mouth and you're choking on your spit. And you're like, shit, right? And that's real. But that's also part of it. That's also why we're going to feel so proud of ourselves when we learn how to navigate the discomfort, because I believe that we don't set goals just to accomplish goals. I think we set goals because of the feeling that we think we're going to get from accomplishing that goal. But if it's not hard, at least a little bit along the way, we're robbing ourselves of that pride, right? Of that feeling where like, Olivia can walk around this house and be like, shit, I know. Like, she's the only one that knows. I mean, she can tell us as much as she wants, but she's the one that knows like, oh my God, this is getting expensive. Or, oh my God, I don't have the bandwidth to do this. Or, oh my God, this is not working out. Or this contractor did X, Y, Z. Like, you're the one that knows the real story. And as transparent and honest as you can be, which I encourage you to be as transparent and honest as you can with people around you, because people want to help you. But you're the one that's spending every single second with yourself every day. So that's why you get to feel so proud of yourself when you do something. You're like, I'm so nervous. I don't know if this is going to work out. And then it does work out. And you're like, holy shit, that was awesome. Yeah. And I think I just don't want people robbing themselves by using pivot as an excuse to get out of discomfort. Because like, while I have pivoted a lot, I've asked myself, like, have I done this thing long enough with enough oomph that I can confidently say it's time for me to move on to the next thing? And I'm just not excited about it anymore. And like using that excitement as a compass to help guide us, which I think Olivia does such a good job of with you guys, is like, what is it about this that you're excited about? It's not that you should go do exactly what she's done with Airbnbs. It's like you should do what feels aligned for you with your circumstances and with the things that you're excited about creating. Because we also just have one shot here, you know? So like, I just don't want you guys to get to the end of your TBD amount of days here and be like, wanted to do this thing, but was too scared because it was uncomfortable, you know? So that was kind of a tangent. But.
No, that was perfect. Everyone loves your tangents. I love it. Can you also talk about, like, I think no one here has kids now, but I know people are future thinking in terms of family planning. And I think especially as a woman, right? Yeah. Especially when you are, like, let's say you are the breadwinner, or you go into something like engineering or, you know, anything where you put all this time and energy, but you really have taken some really, like, proactive is the wrong, intentional moves towards creating a life that you love because of this vision of a family that you had. So you can kind of like talk through that as well.
Yeah. So 2 things that instantly come to mind when you ask that is, 1, I've thought about having kids for the entire time that I've been an entrepreneur. And one of the biggest things that I've thought about is that I want our kids, our future kids, which now we have one who's 16 months old. I wanted them to be able to look at me as living, breathing proof of what's possible for chasing their dreams. Because I knew that when I had kids, I would be like, you can do anything that you want to do in this world. But I didn't want them to look at me like, cool, mom, but like, why didn't you? You know what I mean? And so I think that's always been like ingrained in me since I started my first business when I was 24 and I'm 35 now. And kids were not even at all on the radar. In fact, I was like, please do not have any kids yet, right? But now that I'm sitting here in it, I'm loving the juggle. And I won't speak too much to this since you guys aren't in this stage with new kids at home. But the juggle of like showing up to do things that I'm really passionate about outside of motherhood, and then also feeling like I'm a really present mom because of the freedom and flexibility that I have, is what 24-year-old me, we're talking 11 years ago, was literally creating. So, and now I'm in it, which is like the most ultimate level of fulfillment that I've never experienced, to be honest with you. It's not about money, but it's the freedom and the fulfillment that comes from doing things outside of motherhood, which has been really important to me too, is I want to do both. And so that's one part. The other part is like, I just didn't know what that version of me would want, if I'm really honest. Like, I knew that I wanted to show what was possible, but in terms of like a schedule and how much time did I want to spend and what type of childcare would we want and what would I want to do when I was thinking about building a business, and when we heavily started investing in real estate, one of the biggest reasons was because we needed me to have the option to downshift the amount of hours that I was spending doing the work that I was doing if I wanted to. And real estate gave us the option to do that. We're like, we could live off of our real estate portfolio. We don't, because I still have my business. And my husband actually started another business, but we could. And the fact that we were so intentional of like, let's take active income from this business, which could same rules apply, take active income from a W-2 job and pour it into things that require less of my time, energy, or in my case, like voice, which, you know, like podcasting and stuff like that I do. It just gave us so much more options. And now that this time is here, I'm so adamant about helping people that are in that stage trying to figure out that juggle, like new moms, but also people that can see that in their future. Like what you're doing now, a future version of you is going to be like, thank effing God. Like I'm so grateful that I was willing to like put the reps in. And I worked really, really hard to get to this point where we're at financially, but I'm so proud too. So when I'm hanging out like with my son at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday, like it's so awesome. And like we're buying these like bougie green juices and I'm like, this is the life, you know? But it's because I worked really hard. So I feel really proud too, you know?
Yeah, completely. And another thing that you also have done really well is getting yourself into rooms.
Yeah.
Big people who are expanders.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to talk about like how that's really impacted the whole trajectory of everything that you've done too.
I mean, legitimately everything. The first person that was a real estate investor that I met that I mentioned to you guys was a guy named Steve, who, let me just paint the picture of Steve. He is a giant man with a gigantic beard, who like looks like he could be in a biker gang. And he was like, Kacia, he used to call me like, because we were in a mastermind together. And there was like 25 of us entrepreneurs, all different like businesses and stuff. And he was the real estate guy in that mastermind. And he was like, you remind me of like a cracked out Energizer bunny. He's like, I just like really like you. And I was like, I like you too. Like, I took that as a compliment. I'm like, oh, come on. And he was the one that was like, I like planted the seed of like, I think you should be investing in real estate. I mean, that completely, and he took Sina under his wing and was like, let me help you, let me teach you. He was the one that like introed us into creative financing, which is how we scaled our portfolio so quickly. We haven't been doing 20% down. We wouldn't have enough capital to do it that way, and taught us a lot about private money and like so many things that we learned. And I met him by being in a mastermind. And I think just like a lot of the collaborations that I've done with other women, from like podcasting, from business opportunities, from investing in companies, because I don't just invest in real estate, we invest in startups too. And a lot of like that has come from meeting these people in physical rooms. And to be honest, like my closest friends I've met physically in rooms. And I'm also a curator of those rooms because I know the power of it, because it's drastically impacted my life from a fulfillment and like fun and joy perspective, but also from an income perspective. So it's like, I'm so happy that you guys are here together, but you also like have to leverage it too, where it's like, a lot of times I think people posture, and I don't know you guys well enough yet to know this about how you're doing it. And I can imagine that Olivia is like very transparent with you all just because she is such a transparent person, but posturing like you have it all figured out, or posturing like everything is good because you're wanting validation from that other person to think that you're like worthy or whatever, is such a waste of effing time. Like, I remember I got on this call with like 7-figure moms for this mastermind that I was a part of. And the first person, everyone was introducing themselves. And this girl got on and she gave this like most polished elevator pitch. So she has a toddler and she has a business and she's like, I help women do da 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 da. And we generate, like it sounded like AI like wrote it. And she just spewed it out. And I was like, okay. I was the second person to go. And I was like, well, I have no idea what the F I'm doing. I have an identity crisis. I just had a kid. I have this huge podcast that I've done and I kind of want to burn it all down to the ground. And I partially want to like move to a deserted island. And then I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And then I feel like I'd be unfulfilled. And I just vomited. And the chat was like, yes, girl. And the two people the two people that were running the mastermind literally privately messaged me and they were like, thank you for having a real conversation. And it changed. Everyone afterwards didn't come on like, hi, I'm Jen and I live in LA and I have this business and I make so much money and my sex life is great and my bank account is banging and like, look at me, I have side abs. You know, like anyone that does that, when I hear someone do that, I'm just like, ew, I can't because I know that your shit is like totally whack. And if you posture that you have it all together, I know it's really not together. So I think I would just encourage you, like if you're in rooms and you're in communities like this, to just be more honest. Not like I have it all figured out. It's not that you don't have some things figured out, because it's also the frame of like whatever you look for in your life, you're going to find. So if you're looking for all the ways that you feel like you're sucking and dropping the ball, or you're nervous or you're scared, then you're just going to confirm that, right? And that's going to help you spiral. But looking for the good that you're excited about, and then just being really honest with the women in this room, with Olivia, with anyone in your life. Like when people ask you how you are, not just saying like, everything's great, if everything is not great.
Yeah.
You know?
And also remembering, like, this is why on calls, right? You girls know I call you guys out. I'm like, no, really, what do you need help with? Because you always need help with something at some point in time, and getting actually good and honest about asking questions about the things that and it doesn't matter how big or how small, but like Kacia just said, literally all the opportunities come from just asking. I remember like when I was creating WWA, at first it was just going to be like a course I was going to throw out. I don't know. But then I like hopped on a call with Heather Blankenship, who's just like a big, like crazy $30 million portfolio, insane, has multiple businesses and 5 children and all this crap. I'm like, okay, God, dude, I'm tired. But she like literally had that first, like just a quick call with me going through. And I remember I was just trying to figure out like what program I wanted to use. And I was like, I was kind of scared because Kajabi, the thing that we use, right, was $190 a month. And I was like, I don't know if I want to spend that much money. She's like, well, where do you want to take this? I'm like, is this going to be just like a side hustle, or is this going to be a big business? Like, I don't know. I think it like has the potential to be something big. And just that one conversation with her, I would be kicking myself if I built this on something else. Now I'm having to change platforms and all of that stuff, right? But she was also the one who's like, well, what impact do you want to have, right? And so that made it turn into, remember, some of y'all were at the beginning where it was an 8-week boot camp. And I'm like, just kidding. It's a 6-month-long program. We were at the, you know, like, and you saw me change it at every step of the way.
So good.
You know, but
so good.
You have to be willing to look stupid and to ask questions. And it doesn't matter how big or how small those questions are, you have to put yourself out there. So I love that. Yeah.
So good. And people like that too, like using Heather as an example, or anyone like that's done the thing that you want to do, they respect you for asking and for getting in the game because they know how hard it is. Notice if you ask people who don't invest or don't have businesses about their advice, like they want to, I believe that people are doing the best that they can with the skills that they have, firm belief. But they can't give you advice if they've never done what you want to do. But the people that have done what you want to do, they're like, oh girl, I remember what that was like. Come here, like I got you, right? And so I think we have to also be open to those conversations and having those real conversations. Like if you would have said to Heather, oh, everything's great, sure, I'm just going to buy it. She would have been like, okay, number one, I don't connect with her because she's so polished. It's like unrelatable. But number two, I can't help her because I don't know she needs help.
Completely.
You know?
Well, and also realizing too, right, on social media and stuff, we see people, like even Heather, she has a $30 million real estate portfolio. At the end of the day, they're just people.
Yep.
And that's what I love about getting into the room. Because I hope even you guys just coming here, you realize I'm just another regular girl at the end of the day. Like, like yes, I'm bubbly and stuff, but like there's nothing more special about anyone else than there is for you. You just have to keep taking action every step of the way and just don't stop. Like the thing about like everyone is they just didn't stop. They kept going, even when shit hit the fan, even when someone overflooded the toilet, even when, you know, like, well, literally someone did that upstairs. I was like, why is there a tampon in the toilet? Like, why is there a tampon? Not the end of the world though. You can find a plumber to fix it. But you have to keep going forward. And like, so Stan, I'm going to call you out, right? There's like, you know, when you were trying to get your property started, and it's like all the little things, right? All the little things start to creep in. But when you surround yourself with people who've done the thing, they'll be like, that doesn't matter. Just do this, just do that, right? So keep putting yourselves into rooms with people who are doing, and like something I know I always do, and you probably realize from below, it's like I'm always looking for people who are living the life that I want to, like some version of the life that I want to live. Because no one's going to be living that perfect life. There also isn't a perfect life at the end of the day, right? Like, there really isn't, but there are improvements you can make to be living fully the life that you want to live, whatever that looks like. And it's going to change every year that changes. I feel every 5 years that changes. That's why even when Kacia said, Like she doesn't know what the next 5 years is going to look like, and it's okay. But still, like having like an idea or a vision of the options that you could have, right? So it's really important.
If you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love fashion. Like I am always in bright, colorful clothes. I'm just a bright and colorful human. Even right now, I'm wearing a fabulous green dress, if you can see me on YouTube. But I also just go to a ton of different conferences and retreats and events, and I'm always wearing something different. And everyone always asks me, Olivia, where do you get your clothes from? Now, this isn't some Instagram influencer thing where it's like, oh yeah, everyone asks me. No, actually, everyone does ask me where I get all of my clothes from. And the funny thing is, I actually got rid of half of my closet years ago whenever I started nomading because I just hate clutter and don't want a ton of stuff. And I'm just not like a stuff girl. And 80% of the time, I'm actually wearing rented clothes from Nuuly. Yes, this fabulous green dress that I'm wearing right now is from Nuuly. I know, I don't actually buy clothes like ever, really. I mainly rent. And that's because, number one, I get bored of clothes easily and I like to change my clothes all the time. That's why I am legitimately always in a new dress. Number two is I hate clutter. Like I just hate having a crazy full closet where I can't find anything and it's just such a mess. And then number three, I am always traveling. And sometimes it's hard to pack a bunch of different stuff in clothes. And I like to travel light. I also take a lot of pictures of myself. So I like to be in different outfits. And sometimes I even get the rental sent to wherever I'm traveling to. That way I don't even have to pack it with me. And this way I just get to wear way nicer clothing than I usually buy. Like literally over the last 3 years, I have rented over $150,000 worth of clothes, but I've spent less than a tenth of that actually on clothing. And that's why I absolutely love Nuuly, because they have so many different things, so many fun items. I love that they have really fabulous brands like Farm Rio and sometimes even McDougall, which is a luxury brand. I've rented $1,000 dresses from them for the same price as my membership. And it's great because they have super classic items, but they also have fun staples in there too. Because you can rent everything from dresses to coats to everyday outfits like jeans. Now, you're actually in luck right now because I have a special link where you can actually try a Nuuly subscription and get $30 off of your first month subscription. So use the link in the show notes below to try Nuuly out, or go in and type oliviatati.com/Nuuly. That's Nuuly. And I have a discount code in there. Go ahead, try it out. Let me know how you like it. It has been a total game changer for me to level up my wardrobe. So go check out Nuuly. Remember, oliviatati.com/Nuuly, or go use the link in my show notes.
So good.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. Yeah. So one more thing I wanted to talk to you about, Kacia, is so one thing I really admire is your relationship with your partner, with Sina, right?
Yeah.
And how you guys really feed off of each other, but you're so different too.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how you guys have like changed over the years and have come together and how you supported each other through different parts of your journey?
Oh, yes. My husband and I met when we were 19 at a college house party. I was dancing on the table drinking Burnett's vodka, which is $10 for a fifth. And I was chasing it with Arbor Mist wine, which is like the shittiest wine. That if I took a sip of it, I would projectile vomit on you guys. That's where I was at in that stage of my life. And he was like, that girl, she looks fun. And here we are 16 years later and now we have a baby. But we've had so many chapters. And I think one of the things that's been so important for us is to recognize that our differences make us better as a team unit. Like Olivia said, she knows Sina really well too. And like we are very, very different in terms of our personalities, the way we approach things, how we think about things. Our core values could not be more similar in terms of wanting to have an exceptional marriage and how we want to show up for our family and the type of freedom that we want, the way that we want to give back, like the type of connection we want to have with family and friends. Like we core value, really believe similar things, but the way that we approach life is so drastically different. But I see that as being like a completion of the team, honestly, where I'm like, I would much rather have someone that has a different skill set than me, because if we're on a team going through life together, I don't want someone with the same skill set because then we're missing an entire skill set. So like we actually have started to notice like the differences where, like, to be honest, like it's irritating to me sometimes, like how logical he is and how he has to know like all of the details in order to like take action. And I'm just over here like jump and you figure it out as you go. that is such a yin and yang powerhouse duo because we find somewhere in the middle. Because to be honest, like I could be like living under a bridge if I just was jumping and like hoping that the night appeared. But I've got this guy that can really like run things through a filter of like, okay, but like what would be, you know, how would we pay for this? Or what would this look like? Or who do you need to hire? And like really just kind of helps ground me. And he would be making a business plan for a decade before he launched the business. And I'm like, start the business, buy the house. Anything on a house is like, been like you can fix anything. Everything that's been broken on a house has been fixed before in the past. Like just fucking go. Like that was literally our conversation when he bought the first house or when we bought it together. And like, I don't know if we filed our taxes in the last 5 years. I'm sure we have, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But guess what? Our kid is freaking bomb.com and I'm heavily involved with that. So it's like, I think part of it for us over the years has really been like knowing our lanes based off that season too, where my husband just started a brand new company called Rent Up. And basically what he's doing is filling apartment vacancies and like matching them with qualified tenants. He just started this business 2 months ago. And so he's a brand new entrepreneur. And I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, right? And he did help like spearhead building out our real estate portfolio and everything. But this is a brand new business that is very different than just building a real estate portfolio. So like there are times where he's like, fuck it, I'm done. Like he just like, I'm done with this. Like, I just don't want to do this. And I'm like, this is the entrepreneurial roller coaster. Like you have your worst day and your best day in the same hour. That's what it's like. Like you just have to be buckled up for this whole ride. So I know that my lane is like, I'm supporting and hyping him. And I understand his intention of where it comes from is he's like, I want to build this business because I want to do this. And I also want to do this for our family. And I want to do this for future options. So it's also peeling back. Where does he need support? What does that look like? And then vice versa. Where do I need support? And what I've noticed a lot, because I've worked with tons of women over the years, like thousands and thousands of women, is sometimes we don't want to ask for help because we're socialized to believe that like we were busy like a badge of honor and like we're super women. And in particular, when I'm talking to moms, like super mom, that's like, I'll do the PTA and I'll have $1 million career and I'll do this and like I have sex every day. Like, I don't even know. I'm like, how do you have time? I don't know. I'm tired. Just like even hearing you talk. But it's learning that like we all love the feeling. I guess I'll ask, do you like the feeling of helping somebody else? Of course you do, right? Like you can picture that feeling. It would be so awkward if one of you was like, no, I hate helping people. And I was like, I really was going to ask that question too. But we love that feeling. I like to think of the reframe on asking for help is you're robbing somebody else of the feeling of getting to help you if you don't ask. Because people want to help you. But again, they need to know that you need help. And you need to not make it this story in your head that you're putting, you know, pressure on somebody else or you're a burden to somebody else or you don't want to inconvenience them. All of us struggle with that as women in particular, especially ambitious go-getter women where we're socialized to believe that like go, go, go and hyper independence is important. I don't want to carry my own bag in the airport. I don't. I could carry my own bag. I could have my phone, like my tickets on my phone, but I don't want to. If I'm with my husband, I pretend like I don't even know where I'm going. I don't even pretend I don't. I don't know where we parked. I don't know where my tickets are. I like completely outsource it. And some people could be like, oh my gosh, that's not like, you know, girl bossy of you. And it's like, no, I literally just don't give an F. Cause like, that's fun for me. Like, I love to get to have, I'm like passenger princess. Now I'm like backseat snack queen because I have a toddler. So like I went from passenger princess to backseat snack queen, which is kind of a downgrade. But, you know, honestly, it's like, I think like knowing like if you're in a relationship with another human, understanding like what are their strengths, like what skills do they bring to the team that you don't bring to the team and how can we celebrate them rather than wishing them they're like you or wishing that they were like you. Because if you play it out, you don't want two similar people in a relationship together. Because again, from a team perspective, you're missing skill set. But then also like it's just going to spontaneously combust. You know, I used to think I'd want something that was like as outgoing as me, like wants to like twerk, do the worm on the dance floor, like crazy, like everything is possible. But I'm like, actually, like that would be a real shit show, you know? So now I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, oh, it's so cute that you're so worried about like step 3. Like, I don't even think about step 3, no, you know? So,
okay. So last question that I just want to ask you too is there are seasons that are hard, right?
Yeah.
They're really, really hard.
I just noticed my chair's backward.
Oh, yeah. You've just been turning slowly. Oh, that's fun. There are seasons that are really, really hard. And I think like, especially in today's society, I don't know what it is, but like, it's like, no one's trying to work, right? Like, this is like, God, this is the greatest man. This would be right. Literally, like, I will just sit there and things will happen. No, obviously, that's not. So, I guess, how have you, like, or I don't even know what the question really is that I'm trying to ask, but like how have you kind of worked through those hard moments and like this? I just you can riff on it.
I honestly just think that they're required to make the future version of me proud. Because like, think about it with a workout. Like those of you that were talking about the workout this morning, you were like, yeah, it was so hard. And we had to do burpees and we had this like barbell. I thought they were going to tell us what the steps were. And it was like so hard. I guarantee you, if you guys went to a workout this morning and it was so easy, none of you guys would be bragging about it. You wouldn't be like, I did the easiest workout this morning. I'm not even going to be sore. I didn't even sweat. I burned 1 calorie because I just walked in the door. That was it. Like I like you wouldn't be you wouldn't be bragging about it. You know what I mean? So like part of it is like, give yourself a hard thing to do so a future version of you can be proud. And it's also like when I feel like I'm in those seasons, in particular in my early entrepreneurial journey, I felt like it was as if I was pushing a gigantic monster truck tire up a hill. And I was like crying and I didn't know, did I just do something?
No. It just did it. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. It's like Kacia's talking too loud. But, I just really think about that where I'm like, the seasons that have been really, really difficult, I'm like, wait a second. What am I learning from this season that I couldn't possibly learn if it was rainbows, butterflies, and happily unicorns? Like if it was going really well, we don't learn that much when we're crushing it. It's fun. And I think it's important to celebrate, but we don't learn that much. Like the grit and character building skills and resourcefulness, the things that you actually do need to scale a business and honestly just handle life's curveballs. You build those skills when it's difficult. I've lost 2 friends at age 30 and I just had a miscarriage 4 or 3 weeks ago. And that was devastating. But to be honest, I have the perspective, even now with the miscarriage, I'll use that as an example. I have the perspective now that gave me such a deep connection to women that have experienced that I could have never possibly had I not gone through it. It gave me this deep-rooted, I've always been a really grateful, happy-go-lucky, in-the-moment person, but I am so much more present with our toddler. And I'm like, you are like such a miracle, like even more so because of that experience. And to be honest with you, I of course, I wish it wouldn't have happened and I wish it never happened to anyone, but I actually, even 3-4 weeks removed from it, I'm actually grateful for it because it taught me things that I couldn't have learned. And I often, even in this current season of my life, like right now, for example, I'm filling tickets to an event for mom entrepreneurs with young kids. It's a very specific niched event. None of you guys can come. But like, it's a very specific event and I've never done something like this. So there's like a little bit of newness and I'm like, okay, how do I approach selling this? And like, what does this actually look like? It's different than other things that I've done in the past. But I tap back into the 24-year-old version of me who is sitting on our couch in New York City in 2014. We had 1 window facing an alleyway. Our plugins didn't work in the bathroom, so I had to blow dry my hair in the kitchen. And it was for 480 square feet was $2,500 in 2014. Okay. And I remember I would stay up so late working on this business while I was working full-time at Google. And I was in this, I always wore this, I honestly never washed it either because we didn't have a washer dryer, but I wore this gigantic flannel and I would just sit on the couch with no pants on in this flannel and a messy bun. And I was just like click-clacking away, working on my business. And I think back to that girl who like has this hustle, like she's got it. Like she's the one that I'm so grateful for because she gifted me this current season of life and the perspective that I have from how hard it was at the beginning, where I'm like, I've done that. I can do anything, And I think sometimes we're in that season. We don't recognize it right now, where you're in the season that a future version of you is going to look back at that season and be like, oh, I can handle that. This is nothing. So don't rob yourself of wanting to wish to get yourself out of this season just because it's uncomfortable, because that's what you're going to reflect back on that's going to show you anything is possible for you.
Completely. And okay, last question. So failure, right? This whole everyone is terrified of failing. Like literally for some reason, we just like, and I don't know, for me, it's like, I really don't believe in failure, right? Like it's all just lessons. It's all teaching us something. It's all data points. So how have you, like, I guess, has there been a moment in your business? Yeah, we'll just leave this fine. I did that. There we go. Has there been like a moment that would have maybe be seen as failure that you've then, and how have you like reframed that for yourself?
So when I was 4 months postpartum, I launched a mastermind for 10 people for $10,000 each. And as soon as I filled the last spot, I started crying because I wasn't ready to do it. And I had to refund $100,000. It hit my bank account. And I was like, ah! And then I started crying into my laptop and like my tears were soaking into it and I had snot, like not cute. Like the kind where it's like dripping into your mouth and dripping off your chin snot, you know, you've been there, right? And I just sat there and I was like, I can't do this. I'm so not ready to do this. And so I refunded everybody. And I was like, what can I learn from this experience? And actually, how can I talk about this experience? So I recorded a podcast episode. I shared about it on Instagram. I had so many people that were like, whenever you do that again, I'm the first person signing up because I respect you more because you were so honest about it. And I want to work with someone that talks about business that way, where you're not doing things that aren't aligned for you. And it was like the opposite reaction, where then like the next time I launched something, I didn't even like have to really talk about it. It was like filled already. But more importantly than the business part of it, I learned that I had to unpack some of my own beliefs about myself. Have you guys heard of like Gay Hendricks' book, where he talks about upper limits? It's called The Big Leap.
Like literally, that's the book I put in all of their books.
Oh my God, that's amazing. She didn't even tell me that. I just said that. Okay, so it's a really good book. You guys have to actually read it, okay? And so he talks about upper limits, and all of us have these limits where it's essentially like you're putting a lid on your potential. For me, I had this early on in my career. The first year that I made $250,000 a year, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know anyone that had ever made more than that. I remember my old boss made that when I was when I was a corporate recruiter, and he was the director of engineering. And I was like, geez, like I don't think that I can make more money than this, like because I had this idea that was a belief that I had adopted from people in my family, that if you make a lot of money, you're bad or you're evil or like you shouldn't want to make money. I didn't believe that to be true. I think that money only amplifies. Like you can do more good if you make more money. Great. Awesome. But I had to unpack that, and I had an upper limit, and I was going to stay stuck at that amount of revenue until I explored that upper limit. So literally read the freaking book. It was so good. It was so good. But the same rules apply with any aspect of life, where it's like understanding there's a reason behind it. So when I refunded that $100,000, a lot of people could look at that as a failure. Like every single one of you was like, like you were like, oh, $100,000. And then I immediately posted about it on Instagram right afterwards. Like I had to refund $100,000. That was like the post that I did, and a podcast I released. So what I learned is I had a loop in my brain that was I was more valuable because of how much money I made, and not that I was more valuable as a human, that I was more valuable in my marriage, that I was more lovable and safe and secure because of the money that I made, which is not true at all. That's never been an issue. My husband's never said anything like that. But when I had that experience that could be deemed as a failure, I got to unpack that. And I was like, where am I getting this from? Do I not know how to slow down? What can I learn from slowing down and not moving at this crazy pace that I've been moving at for so long? What does it mean about me when I'm not producing tons of income at one given point in time? Or what does that look like? So to answer, like, I honestly I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have failures. Like, I actually think they're required to teach you things that you can't learn if you're always winning. So I don't wish upon anyone winning seasons all the time. There's a song, my favorite artist, his name is Andy Grammer. Do any of you guys know him? Okay. He's my favorite. I'm seeing him 2 weeks in Nashville. I met him and I hugged him one time. Okay. So anyway, he has this song called Wish You Pain, which sounds really weird. But I actually listened to it after the miscarriage, and I've listened to it plenty of times. And he's literally like, I wish you have pain in your life because it gives you perspective that you can't learn. And just everyone write that down. Wish You Pain by Andy Grammer. Just listen to it at some point. We're like things are just really shitty. You're like, this sucks. Or like you get out of a breakup, or like something's going wrong, or like you have like 5 cents in your bank account. Just like listen to that song. And it's just gonna remind you, like, it's all serving you. You just don't know yet.
And I even think about like the WWA that I created was based off of all of the failures that I had. I was able to put them into a process and a system so that you guys don't make the same mistakes I did. You're going to make some of your own mistakes. So like, that just is a part of it. And now you're going to build your own systems. You're going to build your own processes and build off of that. So just remember that always.
So good.
Do you guys have any questions for Kacia? I know we're like,
I'm literally obsessed with all of you guys right now. Cause like, you guys are really emotive with your face too. Like everyone's like you're giving the exact reaction that I'm hoping for. Like, what? Like, and then people are like smiling like at the right time. Like people laugh at the right time. I'm like, this is great. Oh, have you ever talked to like a group of people where like you can't like read them?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like, and that was how I was when I was in engineering. Like, and I'd be talking to these engineers and I'd be like, is the project on timeline? And they'd be like looking at me and I'd be like, dude, am I an alien right now? Like, am I speaking? You don't say. So Anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I had a question about failure.
Yeah.
So I guess like that conversation that you had to have with those people about recounting, like I'm assuming you just fully own it, be like, yeah. And then if people get upset at you, how do you navigate that? Because the failure only comes to most of the time consequences to that, right?
Yeah. I think we're scared of the consequences, but I also think sometimes that we think we're afraid of failure, but what we're really afraid of is other people watching us fail, thinking that they're going to create a meaning about us. And they're often not. They're just so worried about other people's opinions about them that they're actually not really even paying attention. But we create this perspective in our head that everybody's worried about what we're doing, or everyone's paying attention, or they knew that I failed and now they think that I'm not capable, or they're not going to trust me in the future. It creates more trust when you're honest, because in this world, there's so many people that are posturing as if they're shits all together all the time. And when you aren't posturing that way, you almost catch people off guard because you're so honest. It's refreshing. It's honestly how I feel. I started a podcast, Empower Her, at the end of 2018, and it really took off quickly because I wasn't going on there being like, I'm Kacia, here's like how to have your best life ever, 12 steps, and do all these things because I do these every day. Like, look at me, I'm amazing. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying. Here's what's working. And it grew really quickly from that. So to answer the question, I was honest. I was like, hey, I'm 4 months postpartum. I really was so excited about this. If I do this, I'm not going to be showing up to you the way that you deserve to. And I just don't feel comfortable taking this type of investment of your time and your money when I just know I'm not in the mental headspace to do it. I can understand if you're upset, but thank you for your understanding of this is what I need to do for my family. This is what I would always recommend that you do too. If you ever approach a situation where it doesn't feel aligned, to make the choice that might be the harder choice, but is actually the best choice. Every single one of them replied back that they were proud, wanted to work with me more, were like so grateful that I said that, like took a page out of my book that they were like, wow, that was amazing. So I got better feedback by being honest. And I think if we're always honest, people just respect it more.
I love that. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but a few comments.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned you and your husband are so different. Yes. Me and my boyfriend, I'm like so confused. Like, I don't understand that man. I'm like, can I just put in your brain? I don't understand. But like, because I've been trying to find roommates and I'm not going to lie, I've been kind of slacking. But
You said a C.
I know, slap the vid noise. But I've been like overcomplicating the process. And then I realized, wow, he's so simple. Because he helped me put up a Craigslist ad. And like within the day, he just put one picture up and he was like, looking for roommates, nice house. And it's like 20 people who have like been like, hey, I'm interested. I mean, some of them were like, hey, I don't have a job. I don't have anything. I would love to live here. And I'm like, no. I was just like, thank you for saying that.
Yes.
And then many times confused. I'm like, how did we meet each other?
Yeah.
And I'm very much like the more blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Done. And I'm like, that's all that you had to say about whatever, so I appreciate that. But then I guess I do have a question because I feel like you kind of answered it, but I feel like I get passionate about something, but I'm like, I have so many things I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I need to do it all. And so like, I'm doing this course and then I like started doing ice skating and now I'm doing, and I'm like, I know you said that you kind of asked yourself, how long have I been doing it to know, but do you have any additional advice for someone who's very multi-passionate, scatterbrained? Like,
Do you know Enneagram? Yeah. What is this? Miss Grease. Right there. We're yeah. That's the thing. That is the absolute, like, that is the double-edged sword of a 7. Is like, you are so excited and passionate and you could start anything, but you struggle finishing things because you get excited, shiny object syndrome, squirrels raving in your brain. Like, yes, that's literally me to a T. What I do is I've decided, so no offense if any of you guys really like this restaurant, but I hate the Cheesecake Factory. I hate it because there's so many things on the menu that I'm convinced, and also there's ads in the middle, which is like, I did not come here to read your ads. But there's so many things on the menu that I'm like, there's no way you're good at anything because you're doing so many things. And I'm not getting a sandwich from you because like your sandwiches are gonna suck. So I've told myself that like your dreams don't have an expiration date. What am I focused on right now? Nothing is off limits ever. But what's the thing that makes, if you were to put it into like a flow chart, okay, which I know is not the funnest way to say that. It's like a fun, flowy chart that's like got sparkles everywhere and it's like bedazzled, okay? That, if you were to put it in that, what could lead to the next thing? So for me, I got really consistent with a podcast because I was like building up a community and I had a lot of other things I wanted to do besides just a podcast. But I like asked myself, I'm like, what could lead to the next thing? Well, if I build up this engaged community, which requires me to be consistent, to be great at anything, you have to be consistent for a long time. You have to put a lot of reps in. So I was like, once I do that, then I can open the doors for the next thing that I was really excited about, which was events. I was like, I want to do events, but I don't have people to buy tickets to the events until I do the podcast and build that first. So I think about it like, I guess a better way to put this to you is like, you're layering a really fun, awesome cake where it's like, what's the base layer? And when you think about it, like nothing has an expiration date. You have a note section in your phone, which is like ideas I will do one day. And you just put those ideas in there. And start one thing, get really good at that thing, and then add the next thing. Everything I've done full time has been a side thing first. My first business was a side thing. The podcast was a side thing. Then it could leave the other business that I did. Like everything has always been like, I'll try this on for size. While this thing is the main income earner, I'll try this thing, and then I'll try this thing, and then I'll try this thing. So just telling yourself that every option is possible and available for you, just not at this exact moment, because it makes more sense to feel more freedom if you get really good at something because it gives you more options.
Yeah, another thing someone actually told me like earlier, I think it was last year, they were like, especially with Enneagram 7 manifesting generator people, is like, it's like when you go to an amusement park and you want to try all of the rides. So because you're an Enneagram 7 and you're multi-passionate, you try all of the rides. But some rides you love so freaking much, you just stay on and do it over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So you're wanting to find that thing that you're going to stay on and go over and over again on. Doesn't mean you still can't try the other rides on, but there has to be that one. Like I think about, we went to, where did we go? Universal Studios. There was the one ride, there was like the Hagrid ride, the other ride that were so freaking fun. And we were just like lapping them, right? But like we still tried all the rides in the park, right? Because you kind of have to scratch the itch just a little bit, you know? Because otherwise you're always going to be thinking about it. Like I remember, like even for WWA and stuff, like right now, I like have these big dreams. I want to buy a place in Italy. I want to do all this stuff. But like, what is my main priority right now?
Yeah.
It's building the coaching program. It's working with y'all. That is the main focus. It doesn't mean I'm not going to go do all those other things. They just don't have to happen this exact second, but they are going to happen. Me building this, like increasing revenue even more, that gives me even better opportunities to buy even cooler projects later down the line, you know?
Focus, it's like the grit earns you the flow. Right? Like the grit of the focus on something that can move the needle that you love. And for you, especially as a 7, enthusiasm is your compass. Don't let the shoulds and like you can rationalize things all day long of what makes sense. I was like rationalizing staying in this startup when my soul was like, no, like you're not excited. Leave this fucking thing. And I did, right? And I just think for you, it's like letting it guide you, like the things that you're like, oh, I'm kind of curious about this. And knowing that like you have time to do all of the things, but in order for you to do something really well, that's going to really give you more freedoms from like financial perspective too. If you can get really good at one thing, then you can layer from there. Like my podcast is the reason that I can create any sort of like course or retreat or whatever, is because that was the main thing that I focused on. I've done 650 episodes of a podcast. Like talk about consistency. But to Olivia's point, that would be my Hulk or Hogwarts, whatever. Like it's like my Hulk ride. That like I did it. I was like, oh, I love this. I was trying to be really consistent on a blog. I did 2 total blog posts in 2 total years. Not a blogger, right? So, yeah.
Okay. I think we are out of time here.
You guys are so great. Oh my gosh. I love you guys. So much fun.
Yes. Yeah, everyone is listen to her podcast. I listen to her podcast.
I love. Oh, that's how you texted me. You're like, you didn't mention Mesa. Yeah, are you still there? And I was like, I quit. Here's the story.
You didn't mention what that.
My name's Kacia or on Instagram. It's at KACIA .get married. I'm like, what is my last name? So great. Oh my gosh. I love that. Gosh. So much fun.
Okay. Wasn't that so freaking good? Like literally the girls who went to the Wanderlust Wealth Retreat, they were buzzing after Kacia's session. So don't forget, if you like this video, it would mean a lot if you liked and subscribed and shared this with a friend or anyone who you think would benefit from this. Okay. That's all for today. Bye, fam. Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.